President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. says China's planned reclamation activities have come closer and closer to the Philippine coastline. During the Daniel K. Inouye Speaker Series in Hawaii on Monday, Manila time, Marcos says the nearest location where China is interested in doing an alleged construction is around 60 nautical miles from the country's shore. The president also describes the construction of the military bases as extensive.
The nearest reefs that the PLA have started to show interest in terms of slowly using these atolls, these shoals, as a basis for building. Basis really is what they are approaching, have come closer and closer to the Philippine coastline. And the nearest one is now around 60 nautical miles from the nearest Philippine coast. And this is an evolving situation.
Marcos discloses this information after U.S. Admiral John Aquilino, head of the Indo-Pacific Command, showed him a model of China's People Liberation Army base being constructed in the West Philippine Sea. The president and the U.S. commander met as Marcos visited the U.S. military headquarters in the Asia-Pacific region during his trip to Hawaii. According to Marcos, the situation in the West Philippine Sea is more dire.
Every so often, whenever there is a confrontation between outside forces and Philippine forces. This is unfortunately, as I have said to some of our partners, unfortunately I cannot report that the situation is improving. The situation has become more dire than it was before.
Nonetheless, Marcos says the Philippines is developing partnerships with neighboring countries and like-minded nations, as well as states who share respect for international law. Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board Chairperson Chofilo Guadis III says he is willing to meet Transport Group Piston's demand to bring back the 5-year validity of franchises for jeepney operators. The LTFRB currently offers a 1-year provisional authority for jeepneys in line with the Public Utility Vehicle Modernization Program.
We are willing to sit down with them and agree to that. But the moment po na sumama na sila sa modernization program, pwede naman ho namin ibigay yung 5 years na hinihingi po nila. Yes, we're open to that.
Guadis says that he will reiterate in his meeting with Piston that there is no need to finish the whole consolidation process for jeepney operators on its deadline on December 31.
With the mere filing, pwede ito na considered as consolidated. These are 2 steps na pwede mong ilapit sa kanila para maumusan na po itong usapan at matigil na po itong kanilang bantang strike.
Guadis notes that about 85 to 90% of jeepney operators are expected to comply with a consolidation on or before its due date. Meanwhile, Transport Secretary Jaime Bautista says the Department of Transportation's line of communication is always open to transport groups who may have misconceptions about the PUV modernization program and iron out issues through honest communication. Piston is currently holding a transport strike to oppose the approaching December 31 deadline for the consolidation of traditional jeepneys under the government's Public Utility Vehicle Modernization Program. The total number of deaths due to the magnitude 6.8 earthquake that shook Mindanao on Friday has risen to 9. According to the report of the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council released on Monday, 8 fatalities were recorded from the Socsargen region. The other death occurred in Davao. On the other hand, 15 were reported to be injured. The NDRRMC report states that the tremor damaged 826 houses, with 97 homes beyond repair and 729 suffering minor tear. The tectonic quake occurred in the waters 30 kilometers southwest of Sarangani town in Davao Occidental on Friday afternoon, November 17. It had a shallow depth of 10 kilometers, according to the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology. PHIVOLCS initially measured the quake at magnitude 7.2. A magnitude 5.2 earthquake hit Calbiga, Samar on Monday afternoon. According to the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, the quake occurred at 12:57 p.m. and was tectonic in origin. It had a depth of focus of 72 kilometers. The epicenter was traced southeast of Calbiga town. Instrumental intensity 5 was recorded in the city of Catbalogan in Samar, while intensity 4 was detected in Canavid in eastern Samar and Abuyog, Alanggalang, Carigara, and Dulag towns in Leyte. According to FIVOX, instrumental intensity is measured by an intensity meter or scale. The Philippine Basketball Association suspends the officiating crew that worked Sunday's Commissioner Cup game between Magnolia and Barangay Ginebra over a missed call that marred the dying seconds of the thrilling renewal of the Manila Clasico at Smart Araneta Coliseum. Deputy Commissioner Eric Castro confirmed that Peter Balao, Marty Montoya, Joel Baldago, and Julius Medillo were sanctioned after no foul was called on Mark Baroca when he stopped Scotty Thompson from scoring a layup in the latter part of the contest won by the Hotshots 93-91. Ginebra was down 1 when Thompson went for the go-ahead basket and no whistle was heard. A visibly upset coach Tim Cone tried to go for the challenge, but the Gin Kings had already exhausted their timeouts. Had they got at least one, the Gin Kings could go for the challenge since they earlier got a successful try when Maverick Ahan misses 3 was deemed a made basket while Paul Lee fouled import Tony Bishop underneath. It was the second straight game day that the league handed sanctions on officials for errant calls.